Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Kevin Owens continued his wave of momentum on this week's WWE SmackDown, where he defeated Jimmy Uso in the show's closing match. Following the episode, KO took a hilarious dig at Jimmy's wife and fellow SmackDown star, Naomi. Owens is all set to challenge Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship in a ladder match at WWE Royal Rumble 2025. In the build-up to the showdown, he faced Jimmy Uso on this week's Friday night show. Kevin Owens played subtle mind games as he came out wearing Naomi's merch before the match. This even prompted a response from the former SmackDown Women's Champion, who urged her husband, Jimmy Uso, to beat him up. As it turned out, Kevin Owens emerged victorious and has now taken a dig at Naomi for her explicit message. He corrected a typo made by the female star in her message aimed at Jimmy. KO was in no mood to let go of Jimmy Uso on SmackDown, as he assaulted him even after their match ended on SmackDown. However, Cody Rhodes made the save at the right moment, and the two brawled as the show went off the air. Only time will tell if Owens manages to finally get back to the top of the mountain in WWE by winning the Undisputed Championship at Royal Rumble 2025. The crowd in the WWE SmackDown arena was electric, buzzing with anticipation for the night's main event. Kevin Owens, one of the most resilient and unpredictable stars in WWE, was gearing up for his match against Jimmy Uso. The rivalry between Owens and the Usos had been escalating for weeks, with tension at an all-time high. Tonight was no different, as the animosity reached a boiling point. After a brutal back-and-forth fight, Owens stood tall, victorious, having just pinned Jimmy Uso for the win. The cheers from the audience were deafening as the referee raised Owens' hand in the air. He looked down at the fallen Uso, feeling a sense of satisfaction but also knowing that this was more than just a regular victory. This was a message. Owens took a moment to soak in the crowd's energy, the adrenaline coursing through him. The battle had been fierce, and Jimmy had given it everything he had, but tonight, it wasn't enough. Owens had delivered a crushing pop-up powerbomb that sealed the deal, and the result was clear: Kevin Owens was the better man tonight. But there was something more he had to do. This victory wasn't just for him, it was a statement, a warning to the entire bloodline, especially Jimmy's sister-in-law, Naomi. As the camera zoomed in on Owens, he grabbed a microphone and motioned for the crowd to settle down. He wiped sweat from his brow and stood tall, looking down at Jimmy's prone form. "You see, Jimmy, this wasn't just about me and you," Owens began, his voice stern but resolute. "This was about sending a message to Naomi, and everyone who still doubts what I've been saying for months now. The bloodline is crumbling, and no matter how much you try to hold it together, the cracks are only getting bigger." The audience was dead silent, the anticipation palpable. Owens' words hung in the air, heavy with intent. He had always been known for speaking his mind, but this felt different. This was personal. "You've been riding high with Roman Reigns, living under the illusion that you and your family are untouchable," Owens continued, his eyes narrowing as he looked directly into the camera. "But tonight, I showed the world that there is no such thing as an untouchable empire, especially when it's built on the backs of broken promises and fractured loyalty." He glanced down at Jimmy again, smirking as if savoring the moment. "You all thought you could break me. You thought you could stop me with all your mind games, all your tactics, all your tricks. But you were wrong. And now, it's time for Naomi to wake up." The camera panned to a shot of the fans, who were now murmuring among themselves. Owens wasn't just talking about the match, he was talking about something much deeper, something more personal. The connection between the Usos and Naomi had always been a cornerstone of their collective success. Naomi, one of WWE's most talented and beloved superstars, had been closely tied to the bloodline and had supported her husband Jimmy and his brother Jay through thick and thin. But Owens was hitting a nerve. The bloodline had caused chaos, divided families, and played with emotions. And now, Owens was implying that Naomi needed to choose a side. He raised the microphone once more, his voice carrying a tinge of warning. Naomi, you're out there somewhere watching this, and I know you've got a lot to think about, Owens said, his tone shifting slightly. You've been loyal to your family, loyal to your husband, to the bloodline. But loyalty doesn't mean staying silent when you see the cracks, Naomi. It doesn't mean sticking with something that's falling apart just because you're scared of what happens if you don't. You've got a choice to make. Owens paced the ring, taking a breath before continuing, his words heavy with conviction. I've always respected you, Naomi. You're one of the strongest women in this business. But your husband, your family, they've got you twisted. They've got you believing that they're invincible. But let me tell you something, Naomi, they're not. And the longer you stay tied to this sinking ship, the more you're going to drown with them. The fans were on the edge of their seats. The tension in the arena was thick, and they could feel that this wasn't just a typical Owens promo. He wasn't just sending a message to Jimmy Uso, he was reaching out to Naomi, calling her to make a decision that could change everything. Look at me, Naomi, Owens continued, locking eyes with the camera. I'm not your enemy. I'm here to show you the truth. The bloodline is about to fall apart, and I'm just here to remind you that you don't have to go down with them. You're strong enough to stand on your own. You don't need anyone holding you back. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. If you're ready to take control, Naomi, to be the strong woman I know you are, I'll be right here. But if you're going to stay tied to this mess, if you're going to stay with people who don't have your back when it matters most, then you're going to regret it. Owens dropped the microphone, his message delivered. The crowd erupted into a mix of cheers and murmurs, processing the gravity of what had just unfolded. Owens' words were clear. He wasn't just targeting Jimmy Uso, he was targeting the entire bloodline, and he was daring Naomi to break free. The camera lingered on Owens as he made his way up the ramp, his eyes never leaving the screen. The message had been sent, loud and clear. The ball was now in Naomi's court. As Owens disappeared behind the curtain, the fans continued to buzz with speculation. Would Naomi heed the warning? Would she stay loyal to her family, or would she break free from the chains of the bloodline? Only time would tell, but one thing was for sure, Kevin Owens had just made a powerful move, and the ripple effects would be felt for weeks to come.